Hello, this is Blaine McCormick from the Baylor Business School, and this is a brief introductory video to the Foundation Business Simulation. I call it So My Name is Ferris, and my goal is to give you the best visual idea of the company that you inherited. It's like a little tour of the business that you just inherited in your simulation that you'll run. There's 6 of them. Andrews, Baldwin, Chester, Digby, Erie, and Ferris. And so this video just describes Team Ferris. I've picked it, but they're all the same. So if your name is Andrew or Baldwin or Chester or any of the others, this applies to you as well. So here's the first way I want you to think about your business. Business is composed of 3 parts as I traditionally think about it. You have a production area that makes things. You have a marketing area that sells things, and this is the supply and demand. You make supply and you create demand, and that's kind of the 2 sides of the business. And then you have a finance area that helps you find money and allocate money to manage your supply and your demand, your production and your marketing area, and manage your stakeholders as well, but more on that later. But those are kind of the 3 big areas of business. Now, your business that you inherited has a 4th one that's important to this simulation. That's your R&D area or your research and development area. But it's, in my thinking, it's ancillary. You know, it's a little not as important as the big 3, but it's still important because it's that's where you create new products. And so you'll be using your R&D area. But I don't think of it as central as the other 3. HRM is a really good area. It's actually where I was working when I was in corporate America. Human resource management, or your accounting area that creates your dashboard to help you run your business. They create all your financial statements, but they're just not as important as these main 3 areas. And so that's the first way I try to help people understand their business. So let me take you through the big 3 and then your R&D function, and we'll call it a video. You've inherited a factory at the start of this simulation, and it's not one of these smoke billowing smokestack style factories. It's probably something a little cleaner and more modern like this. You make electronic sensors in your factory, and so it's not an industrial plant per se. It's kind of a new modern Silicon Valley kind of plant there. And any factory that I've been in has 2 areas. In one area you make things, and in the other area you store things like your inventory. And I want you to think of the factory that you inherited as having this. Your physical plant has this. This is a basic outline of a floor plan, possibly. And you have a production line, and for Team Ferris, that first product is always called fast. Team Chester, it's always called cake. But line 1, you make product fast, and then you can store your inventory in your factory. And the thing you need to know is that with your first line, or line 1, you can make up to 800,000 units of fast per shift. And in your inventory area, you currently are storing 87,000 units of fast in inventory. And so that's kind of what your physical plant looks like. Now, the good news is you've got a lot of room in your plant that you can expand. One of our goals in Foundation is profitable growth. And so if you get on that trajectory, you can expand and add up to 5 product lines and new products within your physical plant. That's as big as you can get, but that kind of gives you an idea of the physical footprint. So that's your production side of the equation. Let's look at the demand side of the equation, or the marketing side of your business there. You have a product. It's an electronic sensor. It's called FAST, and that's kind of an approximate picture of what an electronic sensor might look like. And if you look at your information in your Round 0 Fast Track, you'll learn that you sold 1.2 million units of FAST last year at $34 per unit. And so, that's a fair amount of money there. You sold 30% in the high-tech market and 70% in the low-tech market. And we look at some other metrics on your kind of the marketing challenges that you face. We look at accessibility, and 40% of your customers can find your product fairly easily, but 60% can't. So you've got some accessibility issues. And then 55% of your customers are, really aware of your product, but 45% have very low awareness of product fast. And so, there's some room for improvement on both accessibility and awareness there. And then we can look at your customer satisfaction rating of fast, and that can go anywhere really from 0 to 100. on there, but you're right now sitting at an 18. If you look at the bottom of page 5 or 6 in your fast track, you'll find that your customer satisfaction for Fast or Cake or your other product is pretty low on that scale, and you're going to have to figure out why it's so low to move it forward and do some things with it. Let's take a quick look at the finance side of the house. I'm just going to do this on the balance sheet. You've got some assets and some liabilities on your balance sheet. Your assets include cash there at the top, inventory there in the middle, and then your physical plant there at the bottom there. And so if we look at our balance sheet, you'll see that you've got $5.6 million in cash in the bank. That's a nice amount of cash. Your inventory, those 87,000 units Fast in inventory, are worth $2.3 million in inventory on your balance sheet. And then your physical plant is worth about $9.6 million in plant and equipment. But if we took all your stuff and put it in a pile, and that's what you own, these would be considered your assets there. But with assets also comes liabilities on the balance sheet. That's the another portion of the balance sheet, not all of it, but you owe money to suppliers, you owe money to debt holders, and you owe money to current debt holders, long-term debt holders and current debt holders. And so if we look on your balance sheet, you'll see that you owe your suppliers $2.9 million for the parts you bought from them to make your electronic sensor. You've got $5.2 million in long-term debt, and so that's a fair amount of debt, almost as much debt as you have cash in the bank. But one bit of good news is you don't owe any money in current debt. I like to think of current debt as your credit card debt, so to speak, or your debt you have to pay off within a year. So you have no current debt, and that's good news in terms of your liabilities. So if we look at your balance sheet, looking at your assets and your liabilities and your equity, that's kind of how it's shaped up there. Assets always equal liabilities plus owner's equity. That's the balance sheet equation. And then if we take a quick kind of graphical look at your income statement, you'll see that you had $40.8 million in sales, but as we take your costs out, that's the red part, your variable costs and your SG&A and your interest, you made, and I'm very proud of this, $2.5 million in profit, but there's room for improvement on that. But you can see that the interest that you're paying is because of the long-term debt and your liabilities there, and that net income, some of it goes over into equity, and so you're building your equity as you're profitable. And so there's some good things going on here, but the last area of your business that I want you to understand is your R&D area, or your research and development area. This is where you create new products, and you'll probably need to do that at least once or twice throughout the course of the simulation, if not more often in there. So this is where you go to make and launch new electronic sensors to do that. So let me tell you a little bit of something about why you might need to use this area. I've got some bad news for you on product Fast, is that it's getting a little old there. Your current product is actually over 3 years old, and that's not going to compete very well in the marketplace, because some of your customers are going to want really fresh, really new sensors, and a 3-year-old product isn't going to compete as well as you like. So you're going to have to make some revisions on this or launch some new products and come up with that. A couple of last words here. Your industry, I want you to understand that in this video you've been Team Ferris, but like I said, there's 5 other teams in the industry: Team Andrews, Team Baldwin, Team Chester, Team Digby, and Team Erie. And all of you look exactly alike right now. Nobody's got an advantage. It's not best to be Ferris or Baldwin. Everybody's at the same starting line with the same production possibilities, the same marketing possibilities, the same finance possibilities, or the same marketing constraints, production constraints, and finance constraints is another way to look at it. And we're all ready to start the simulation here. How should we grade your current team? How could we assign it? Well, you can look at your credit rating there. If you look at your credit rating on page 2 of your fast track, you'll see that your credit rating is BBB, triple B ratings, which is traditionally defined as S&P as lower medium grade there. So if I were to convert that to a college scale, I would give the team that you inherit a C minus. I think I'm a tough grader. I'd say, you're not too bad, but you're certainly not top tier. I think you've got some problems facing you. So if you want to understand your company, don't view it as an A or even a B plus team. View it kind of as a C minus team that's got some work to do before it gets into fighting shape. Again, this is Blaine McCormick at the Baylor Business School. I hope it's a helpful video for you, and good luck and enjoy your foundation business simulation.